has a Hollywood ending then as Benfica beat Real Madrid by 4-2. It means that Real Madrid will have to go through to the playoffs. Benfica as well will have to make it to the round of 16, but it looked for so long that they were going to be out of this game. As we welcome in Frank Leboeuf, Jurgen Klinsmann, be keeping on an eye on some of the big games. Ali, you were watching this match in particular. Did Benfica deserve it? What's going on with Real Madrid? What drama? There's so much to talk about.
Well, let's start with the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the story. They need a goal. Who do you count on? Is it Pavlidis? No.
Yeah. Xhaka's at home going, yeah.
Where is Xhaka?
Yeah.
And of course it had to be the case that right before the free kick is taken, they pan to Jose Mourinho, who is seen telling the goalkeeper, you, forward, you, go into the box. And of course, any manager at that time would have done exactly the same thing, but it has to be Mourinho that then gets the shot on him. He tells the goalkeeper to go there. Real Madrid playing 2 men down. They swing the ball in, and of course, it had to be the goalkeeper who gets the sort of header that he did. And that in itself is a story. That by itself is a story. But a big part of the story is Real Madrid, in which you're thinking this team has turned the corner. They haven't. And over the weekend, what we were talking about is, can they sustain what they showed against Monaco? Can they sustain what they showed against Villarreal? And the truth of the matter is that today, when they were pushed, when the game got stretched, they didn't have a reset position. They didn't have any structure. They didn't have any organization. They were exposed time and time again in transition. And Benfica, deservedly so, win the game. And deservedly so, get into the playoff.
You take a look at the starting 11 Arbeloa put out, Craig. He's taken this seriously. They wanted a top 8 spot. And yet again, his big names don't turn up when they have to.
No, and it's going to be an interesting second half of the season. There's a title race back on in Spain because of the way they've started. But the problems that were there for Xabi Alonso are just not going to go away overnight. Heavily reliant on Kylian Mbappe. A lack of discipline from other players. You've got Asensio, chucking himself to the ground, making silly and rash decisions, getting sent off. Rodrigo following him for dissent. All these things were sort of brewing up under Xabi Alonso, and were issues that he wasn't able to solve, certainly not in the eyes of Florentino Perez. And now Arbeloa, who apparently is well thought of, but at the end of the day is going to have the same issues. So, and when you think about the team Real Madrid put out, and when you think about where Benfica are, and the whole lexicon of European football at the moment, they're not a strong side, and they're probably, regardless of who they get, Real Madrid or Inter, they're probably going to go out over 2 legs. So when you look at the opposition, even though it was away from home, not a great night for Real Madrid or Arbeloa, and that's the extra games for them that they really didn't want, particularly with the injuries that they've had this season.
But Jurgen, from a Benfica point of view, this is why we love football, isn't it? This sort of drama, this last minute, and it's the goalkeeper as well. That's why we enjoy the sport so much.
Yeah, and that's where you see that it's all down to mental moments. It's the psychology of the game, and to beat Real Madrid in such a big game in the way they did, I mean, you can only give them huge compliments. I mean, these are the games you live for, you hope for, and then the story, obviously, with a goalkeeper going forward in the last second there and deciding that game, it's fantastic. I mean, it's wonderful. I mean, the whole drama that the Champions League is giving us on the last day of the group stage is wonderful.
Do you think Xhaka's ever gone up for a header?
No.
No. Famously, he's gone up and he ducked out the way. What's interesting, Frank, as well, Jose Mourinho will absolutely milk this and love every minute of it.
Of course he did.
Oh yes, and it was nice. It was nice to see him. I mean, Jose Mourinho showed to the world that he's not dead yet, and he's still part of the game and the suspense, and that was kind of a miracle what we saw. Allow me to have some thoughts about my former club Marseille, who thought that they would be in the playoffs until the last second.
Yeah.
We even thought that when Kylian Mbappe scored the second goal, that him, a former Paris Saint-Germain player, allowed Marseille to be in the playoffs. And the magic happened, and Jose Mourinho luck is still there. So that's what it is. And goodbye Marseille, and well done Benfica.
Jurgen, just a word with you. I haven't had a chance to speak to you about Arbeloa coming in. Like, we've described him maybe as some sort of a glorified babysitter in a sense that it seems to be very difficult to coach these players, to get something out of these players, to tell these players what to do, because obviously Xabi Alonso struggled with that, and Ancelotti towards the end of his tenure as well.
I mean, there are so many different approaches, obviously, for managers to handle a team, a roster, and especially in these huge clubs, like Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and so forth. So everything has to click, everything has to work hand in hand, and it's not only your relationship with the players. It's the daily kind of communication you have with the club, and obviously they have a famous president there in Madrid that always has his own opinion. So you don't know is the board behind you. It's all about leverage at the end of the day that a manager has towards his players, and I think Carlo Ancelotti, he managed that in an incredible way. He's kind of stood always out of every kind of confrontation and let the players kind of handle it. It went well for a couple of years. Obviously, they won a tremendous amount of trophies under Carlo, but it is a very difficult task for a coach, for a manager. It's down to how much you have support from the club. It's down to, if you have a good relationship with all the players, which is impossible, by the way, because obviously the ones you put on the bench, they will never be happy. They will never be on your side at the end of the day. And and then it depends a lot on the characters of those superstars, on the characters of those players, how much they want certain things, how much they kind of put themselves into kind of the team picture, how much ego they live for themselves. And it is very difficult. It is doable because obviously coaches prove that point. I mean, what the work that Pep Guardiola does over years and all the different teams he has managed is fantastic. Also, obviously, Jose Mourinho in many of his occasions has done tremendously well. And then he was at spots where it didn't fit, where the chemistry was not there, where he also struggled and he also had his bad days and disappointments. So, but a club like Real Madrid is a huge undertaking, and we'll see now the next couple of weeks how they handle obviously the Spanish league and how they handle now the playoffs in the Champions League.
Real Madrid remind me of a torn hamstring.
Okay.
Right? And the reason I say that is it's a sort of injury that you have to nurse, right? And it gives you a sense that maybe you're ready to get back. Maybe this is a moment in which you're ready. And then you go for a sprint and it tears right back up. That's what Real Madrid are right now. You're merely mending. You're mending and nursing this injury. But you are one sprint away from going off again. And that's where we are. It felt like they were ready. It felt like they had turned the corner. It felt like Arbeloa had some sense of confidence with his team and that this team was responding to him. But it was, as we said over the weekend, a house of cards. Because there is, for this team right now, they don't know who they are. There is no identity. And so today they went in a back and forth with Benfica, which you don't want to do because that's exactly what Benfica won. They won this open game. There was no sense of control through the midfield. There was no sense of control in terms of possession. And when it came to creating opportunities, when you had to go chase a game, then they got completely disorganized. And all the things that we have seen over the course of the last month and a half or so, they started to show back up. Those things don't go away as a miracle. They don't just disappear. This team has issues. They were going to show up again. They showed up again too.
This team, and some coach has to come in and get rid of the troublemakers because the chemistry isn't there. The group's not there. They don't play together.
According to the world, the troublemakers are Fede Valverde, Vinicius Jr. and Jude Bellingham.
But the problem is the president lets the players rule the roost. And it's not going to change. We can sit here and they can change managers all they want, but it doesn't look like it's going to make any difference to what happens on the field. And that's because what's going on off the field in the dressing room, the actual chemistry, the so-called big cheesies are ruling the roost on and off the field. And nothing's going to change until some of them, as you say, they can't go. Well, you better get used to this then. Because if nobody's going to get rid of them, you better just get used to listening to us, talking about everything going wrong, why it's going wrong, and nothing changing.
But the moment that they had Xabi Alonso walk out the door, they empowered the players.
Oh, big time.
They empowered Vinny Jr. They empowered those that were pushing the other guy out. They said, we're with you, not with him. And at that point, you're making your bed. So now you lie on it.
But they've only just lost a game here. We should remember, I don't think they're going to win this Champions League. I don't think there's a hope in hell at the moment. It's a bit like Liverpool in a sense who are flying high in this competition, not so much in the Premier League. I don't think they at the moment, regardless of results in this competition, have much of a chance because of their defensive issues, amongst one or two other things. So I really don't feel that Real Madrid will be a big thorn in the side of a PSG or an Arsenal or whoever it is, Bayern Munich, and their current guys. But what if Arbeloa is to win La Liga? I think you would still see that as a successful season. I really don't think, unless you're blindfolded in Madrid at the moment, you think this team, with the issues, are going to win the Champions League. Maybe you could hope they are, but I don't think you're really going to believe they're going to win the Champions League, not with the issues that they've had and the way that they play. However, they've got a damn good chance of winning La Liga still. So it was a bad night at the office. There is still problems there. There are still some big egos and some big heads and stuff for Arbeloa to figure out. But they're only a point, I believe it's a point behind Barcelona, who didn't have it their own way against Real Oviedo, by the way, for 45 minutes. And they're rock bottom of the league. It took till a couple of Oviedo mistakes early in the second half for them to get on the front foot. So there's a lot still to play for in Spain. But in terms of the Champions League, I think we'll see this kind of result for Real Madrid, which ultimately will see them, I think, go out of the competition.
They're, of course, still in it at the moment.